Yes,
Let me open this panel discussion.
we are now live in the panel discussion.
No, this is not the one.
It's
Let's
echoing.
forget that.
It's echoing. I think Noor Saab, you'll have to mute yourself.
And this one is.
There's an echo. I think somebody will have to mute himself. Yes, we can start now. I've just introduced Sayyed Shahab Ahmed, who's the IT Manager of Applications and Information Security, ICI Pakistan. And he will introduce the rest of the panelists and take on the discussion, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akbar. Welcome everyone in the very first panel discussion of the day. So as just Akbar mentioned, our topic is how industries are thriving in this digital age. And we have 5 industries gurus here right now with us. Let me start with the introduction first. So we have Mr. Maher, who is representing Microsoft here, and after that we have Noor Sahab, who is from Thal Limited, and Mr. Azhar Nawaz from Engro Corporation, Mr. Moin Balkhi, who is from PSO, Pakistan State Oil, and Mr. Mubashir Amjad, who is from IBL Group. So thank you, sirs. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And let's hope we have a very great discussion in next 30 to 45 minutes, which is actually allotted time period. Right. So let me start this discussion with the first very generic and introductory question: that what our panelists think about this thriving era during this specific digital age. Are we really thriving in this digital age? Are we in digital age, as we were just discussing a few minutes back? So I need opinions from all of you. So let me start with Mr. Maher. If you can please add your 2 cents.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much to the panelists and to the organizers for this opportunity. Actually, just before COVID and the pandemic, we have been talking about the digital transformation as a way for companies not just to thrive. Actually, we needed digital transformation so we could survive. And I think many of the panelists will talk about survival now, not only to prosper and thrive, and this is important. We've had in the past few years, we've had as enterprises, as businesses, we had been disrupted by digital-born companies that have really pushed the limits on our businesses, our business models, our operations, our customer engagement, and so on and so forth. Even us as company, Microsoft, we've had to really look at the way we do business in our own field. I mean, as an IT company and software solution provider, we advise and we give workshops and sessions to our customers and how they can adapt in a digital world. But us as a company, we have really looked into this and we said, before we start consulting our customers, we need to think of it internally as Microsoft. So how do we transform our business to still be relevant to our customers and in the IT world? Because there are many new businesses that are disrupting our world. We have built, as companies, as enterprises, we have built legacies, right? We have a huge customer base. We have our employees that we have worked so hard to build. We have assets, whether it's operations, if we're an asset-intensive business, or we have products that we push into the market. So how do we apply digital transformation in this age without going to the extreme? The extreme is disrupt yourself, or acquire a disruptor like some of the other companies have done. But how do we look at your business? You look at where your assets, what is the core to your business, and how do you digitize that core? So for us, we look at it from 4 perspectives. How do you engage your customers, right? So how do we engage our customers better, understand them, meet them, how and where they need to be? How do we empower our employees? I think this has become, with the pandemic, we're in a world where remote is everywhere, right? So how do we empower our employees? How do we empower learning and remote teamwork? This is something we have never really thought of in its entirety. We looked at it as companies. We looked at it as an extension of our physical face-to-face meetings. But now this is the norm. How do we empower our employees? And at the same time, we keep on saying, although we're on Teams, there's a term that is coined in the market. We call it Zoom fatigue. We're all fatigued from these online meetings, right? And we need something more engaging. So how do we really take care of the health of our employees and make sure they're still productive, active, and contributing to the business, and offer them the tools and the resources to drive impact into our customers? Okay, two additional areas that are around products, right, and around operations. I mean, if you're an asset-intensive company, then how do I optimize my operations? It is important that I look at my cost and how do I move to, for example, cloud technologies that make me agile, but at the same time I can optimize my operation. And also, software is everywhere. So from a product perspective, how do I infuse software into any product that I have so I can get data, and data will be my core assets for which I can make decisions and improve business outcomes for my business.
Right. Thank you, Maher. I think you have summed up many of my upcoming questions in this introduction.
I'm sorry if I went a bit more.
Appreciate it.
It's an exciting topic for all of us because many of the panelists are really, nodding their heads. I mean, this is core and dear to every one of us, and we think of it on a daily basis. So we're passionate about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So let me guide our audience towards, I think, the devil's advocate, Mr. Azhar Nawaz Saab, who may have a different idea about this digital age. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you. So I've listened to Maher, and I also agree with you, Shahab, that in his first minute, he has stolen the thunder of all the participants, and he have mentioned all the points. So there was this meme going around, who has accelerated your digital transformation, and there was one option which was COVID. And because of COVID, the digital transformation has really accelerated, and in our company also we have seen that, and it's all about survival. It's not about how you use digital to get leverage in the market and stuff. So at the moment it's all about survival. And if you talk about disruption, it's not a question anymore. Will I be disrupted by digital? It's not a question anymore. It's already there. It's out there. How I survive against that disruption is the question now. So that is where we need to move our energy to. So how do I plan? Maher spoke about customer experience and employee experience. So I'll just give one example here at Engro. When we went into this COVID scenario and into this lockdown situation, we had to come up with solutions where we keep the business running, and most of the services and products which Engro is doing are actually essential. So during the COVID environment, how do we keep the essentials running? So I'll just give you one example for one of our company in the Engro group, Engro Fertilizer. So what we did was we developed an online portal for online sales. So that is what we did, and we rolled that out. And can you imagine, within 6-7 months, we did more than 1 billion PKR sales through that portal. So that is the type of amount we are talking about. And this is, I think, this is one of the biggest in terms of revenue which you can see within this industry in Pakistan. So that is where we are. So in terms of employee experience and customer experience, you need to come up in this digital age with this sort of portals where employees and customers can collaborate. Now, moving on, looking at the topic, are we really thriving based on digital in Pakistan in our industry? That is the thing which we were talking about, and I think we are long way behind, and we need to play catch up to get to where we want to. And in our industry in Pakistan, it falls on most of us. We are the people responsible to take this forward. But I also believe that digital is not the responsibility of people in this panel. This is my conviction. So I, as a CIO, can help and support, but I cannot only be the responsible person for digital. You need to bring in business leaders. Any project, any digital transformation which is led by IT, I don't see that going anywhere. So digitization responsibility comes, and it gets sparked on the doors of our business leaders also. So that is, I think, where we need to move this to. In terms of our industry, if I talk about manufacturing, if we want to bring in digital, so there's a concept which I'll say, which people say that my production systems are air gapped and I'm not connected to IT network. So OT network is separate from IT network. So if we want to leverage the data, without which we, Maher spoke about, without the data we can't, really have any insight or any leverage into digital. So if we are not even connected, OT and IT are separate networks. How can we get that data? How can we get those insights? So we have long way to go. We need to catch up, and we need to look at how we connect OT and IT. And it's very important that we also consider that this is, in terms of cyber security, this is key. We need to have proper security controls implemented before we connect IT and OT. And an OT cybersecurity attack can be very disastrous. And that is where the business leaders say, oh, I don't want to connect, I want air gap. So if you still keep air gap, how can you bring digital transformation into the production environment? So these are my 2 cents on this.
Thank you so much, Azhar Sahab. Really appreciate for sharing your success story of your business solution, which increased your sales, and absolutely correct. By the time you don't have back from your business, from your higher management, from the leaders of the organization, you cannot move toward this digital age. And absolutely correct that it is only the responsibility of IT or CIO or the tech guru to implement this digital age in any organization. It is a collective responsibility, and if we all will work together, we can move towards. Really appreciate this thought. So let's move towards our next panelist. I request Mr. Moin Balkhi Sahab to please comment about it.
Yes, I fully agree and endorse what has been said. And as there were some really funny pics also that were shared after COVID, that it has digitally transformation has been triggered through it. And what I can say is that now, like I can say about my company is that my company cannot survive without being digital. The whole business has shifted. That was being done by data entry operators at the sites is being done digitally now through mobile apps, and we are now putting all the burden on the customer, what our staff used to do earlier. Now he has to work schedule everything, his schedule, plan his product, when he has to get the product, and all the part is being automated. And we are even now thinking on unmanned terminals and unmanned offices, and in those kinds of things that were never foreseeable. But we are moving towards this, and I would say that it's more related to, as said by participants, related to survival, not luxury. So now what has happened is, now as you're moving forward, your manpower is no more like it's there. It can be like, because of COVID, you can't be sure whether your manpower would be present to do certain critical tasks. And for those critical tasks, now you need digital transformation to do it, because that luxury of 10 people having to do that menial tasks or is not there anymore. And you have to go. And now what we have done is we have put more burden to the suppliers and customers. Now they have to do more work. They have to do everything. They have to, and the staff that we are carrying is more liberated of doing those tasks that were done by them earlier. So it's automatically taking place. what I was not even foreseeing earlier, that how would I be like, I made a digital transformation strategy that was presented 2 years ago, and everyone was said that this is not achievable at all. How can you do unmanned terminal work? How can you foresee that the terminal will be unmanned? And people used to laugh that how can it be possible that this would be done without any intervention. And now we are moving towards that goal, that most of the things they would be done automatically. There would be queue management system, tank lorry would enter automatically, it would go to the bay, the driver will just, the order would automatically come to the terminal, he just has to confirm it and press enter and take the product. So those things were unimaginable in PSO, but we have started, like we are working in those. Similar is the case for suppliers. Most of the people have acquired a number of solutions, and that process is also automated now. So more and more, for the only part that I don't like as a person is that too much automation would, which is inevitable, like it's reducing the requirement of manpower, which is kind of a burden on me, that this work is shifting automatically to digital. So these are my thoughts. I wouldn't.
I think, okay, I get the.
Okay.
Let me just take the lead because I see Shahab's window is a bit frozen. Okay. So I've already introduced myself. Shahab introduced myself, Mubashir from IBL Group. I fully agree with all the things that you've just mentioned. But I would just take the advantage of saying one more thing, that let us just zoom out and see what is happening. Okay, so in um, this world today, you see such a chaotic organization going through, and this chaos is going to continue. Okay, so today it is pandemic, tomorrow it could be a global recession, and then it could be another, I don't know, bio wars or whatever wars, cyber wars. Um, Things are changing in a such a in a rapid speed, exponential speed, that we need to be sure that, as Shahab also mentioned, and Azhar Saab, sorry, mentioned, that over here we need to stay relevant and make sure that we are surviving over here. Thriving, of course, comes at a later stage, but yes, we in this speed we don't need to be forgotten. Okay, so we need to be sure that we are also equally empowering ourselves. And Moin Saab, I think whatever examples you have quoted, excellent use cases of what all organizations should be doing, because in this age where connectivity is there, okay, and mobile is there, mobility is there, and application is there, we need to see that how are we able to create experience for the customers, efficiencies for the operations, and maybe start creating new business models for creating new revenue streams. Because in one of my speeches in the past, I said that, and I believe this, okay, so all the businesses which we today have, okay, and which we are very proud of, okay, so they eventually will get disrupted. Okay, so we need to make sure that in this frame of mind, we start building on some new revenue streams as well. And what will matter in future will be mostly three things. Okay, so which I believe is: one is speed, convenience, and experience. Okay, these are some things which people will value. And if we are going to be able to create these value for the customers, then we'll be able to grow our organizations. So yes, digital technology is, as we already mentioned, is already there. Okay, so we need to take this digital technology as an enabler. Okay, and then so I believe there are four stages. One is enable, then automate, accelerate, and then transform. Okay, so when I say this, okay, so that would mean enabling would mean solutions coming in from companies in which likes of Maher is working. Okay, so they're gonna enable us. Okay, so and then automation is something which we have to start thinking. And I fully agree with Azhar, what he's mentioned is that so this is at times mistakenly IT is given the responsibility of automating things when the business does not even know where to land. Okay, so yes, we need to. So I would say that there's a step-by-step approach. I'm going to come to that later on, but yes, we need to first jot down what we will be automating and what value that will be creating. Sometimes we get lost in automating everything. Okay, so I want to digitize everything. We need to be sure that what we should be staying focused on what we need to do as an organization in the business we are in. So it's a bit difficult for organization. When I say this, it's a bit difficult for me in being in IT to support such transformation initiatives for the group which I am in. Why? Because we are a complex set of companies in which we have businesses ranging from pharma to distribution to retail, and we have a technology company as well, by the way, Ideal Genesis. So yes, challenge is already there. So we are facing this challenge daily, and of course we can't eat the elephant all by once. We are going piece by piece, and we are taking the right steps. And when I come to steps, I would say that first of all, what we have done as an organization, owing to this pandemic, okay, so and it's a very sensible step which the chairman has taken himself. We sat down and we said we're going to re-strategize ourselves, okay, and we're going to create a vision for the next 5 years, and it's a very thorough exercise. All our companies went through, and it was also IT was part of that. IT was a listener. Okay, so today I'm only a listener. We're not, and then so we said okay. So for me, I would say that's the first step. Okay, develop a vision on which your organizations will reach. Then secondly, IT needs to ensure that our companies are becoming agile. Okay, so their agility is the second step. We need to start focusing on agility. And I'll be early to announce, but we have done a a very good exercise in which we have migrated all our systems to cloud. Okay, and on AWS. Okay, so this is something which was pending for this group, and for the size of this organization, it's a huge step. Okay, so and that's been just recently completed. A few steps left, but that is going to make you more agile, more quick in terms of responding to varying challenges which come in the business. So third thing, which we have already started doing with some companies, start experimenting. You cannot solve the problems yourself. Okay, so you have a capacity. Okay, so we have a certain headcount in which we can perform. Okay, so I believe we should start experimenting, find partners out there in the market, utilize them, take their strengths, and then start building value for the organization. And as I said, since you can't do everything yourself, you need to outsource the non-core. Okay, so whatever is not your core business. Okay, so for example, if Engro fertilizer is the core business, that stays right in center. But HR processes. Okay, so this is something which is not. I'm not an HR company. Okay, so you should outsource your solutions of your non-core functions to other companies. They are the you can find best solutions, but you need to be best in the area of strength where you are. Okay, so if I am a pharma company, I need to master my core strength. Okay, if I'm a retail, I need to be sure that I am at the fingertips of all my customers. Okay, so and a distribution company, I should be reachable at the last mile. Okay, so these are the things, and we need to. When I say master your core strengths, you need to create. I would say so that comes at a later stage, but you need to digitalize your core strength. When I say this, whatever processes which are happening in this core area, if there are any manual ones, digitalize them, because you are the one who can only fix that. Other people from outside cannot come and tell you, because that's your core business. And then of course in this journey, keep finding some new revenue streams for creating new set of businesses, and that is going to help you survive. So there are lots of things, because as the topic is so juicy, we can keep talking on this, but that's a few cents from my side.
Thank you, Mubashir. Now I'm the last one to continue with the first question that Shahab has asked. The question was, the premise was basically how organizations are thriving within this digital time. Well, if I talk about, let's say, a year back, we were all facing the pandemic startup phase. And before that, if we see that organizations were basically investing in the digital world, but not exactly as much as they should have been. But soon after the pandemic, as Maher said, the fatigue of Zoom and Teams started. Yes, at least I was happy to see that at least the organization went digital with the video conferencing, I would say, because it was the first step where all the organization from top till the bottom using our same basically LAN and the bandwidth available within the organization were maximizing themselves to basically collaborate together or with their customer or vendors. So I would say that it was the starting process for all the Pakistani industries to say that they have at least got digital, but it was not enough. It is not enough, I would say. Organization, in order to basically thrive more or to prosper more, of course, they have to change themselves culturally, because within the organization, if the culture to adapt the required digital platform is not acceptable, yes, we can have as many sessions as you want. We can say all throughout the year that we are working in the digital transformation world or digital transformation environment, but we are not exactly following since we are not adopting the culture that is required to move ahead with the digital transformation, because this cultural transformation will start from the top level. Until unless your board, until unless your CEO is convinced that with the digital transformation the organization will prosper and it will generate more revenue to the bottom line. So, of course, without that, the organizations cannot move ahead. Right now, if we see, there are very few organizations, maybe few large organizations who, at the what you can say buzzword of digital transformation, are just investing in ERP implementation. Yes, I have seen a lot of organizations, mainly in textiles, mainly in pharma, mainly and so on and so forth. They are implementing either S4 or Microsoft or Oracle. So they are implementing and thinking that they have gone digital. That is the starting point for every organization to basically getting digital, because you are very well aware, because you all are a guru or the IT expert sitting around here. Basically, the business process change is also a major factor in making the digital transformation a success. Until unless you basically bring efficiency in your business process and your organization people accept those change, this digital transformation would be just a buzzword within the organization. Until the HR, until your management make the relevant talent available to you in order to make this digital transformation a success, this will be just a buzzword within the organization. So I would request now Shahab to basically move on with the other questions as well, as we can speak much and much more, as Bashir has said, that is a juicy word, and we can talk a lot on this.
Right.
Please,
Thank you so much, Prasad. So one thing which is common among all the CIOs here, कि दोनों तरफ है आग बराबर लगी हुई. Everyone is looking forward from the support of their management, higher-ups, because they feel they cannot do anything alone. They always need some good support. So we have few value addition points, I guess, from Mubashir Saab here. I think Mubashir, you want to say something further. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I was just saying that I would fully agree with what Noor Saab just mentioned, that culture is very important. Okay, and when we say this, okay, so we do tend to say, okay, everyone wants to transform. Okay, but they don't know what they will do while transforming. Okay, so I 100% agree. There are organizations. What is the transformation journey? ERP implementation. That's a mistake which we're doing. Okay, but I have come across a few organizations which I have actually set up a good transformation department, and nothing is related to, when I say so nothing is, it's mainly business objectives which we are tracking. So I myself, by the way, in Coke, I was also I started a business transformation department, and then I came back to IT. So from IT I went, and technology was just a small piece of that. Okay, so main thing was, what is the business trying to achieve? That is important, and that only happens when you have a proper vision. And second, which you also mentioned, you need to start hiring the right talent. Okay, and we may I think from now on, what we are also doing in our HR is that whenever we are hiring anyone, we are making sure that that person has some digital literacy as well. So digital literacy becomes a small component, essential component for every hiring candidate. Okay, and then because the whatever new talent which is going to come in is going to stay with us for at least 5 years, right? That's the vision, 5 to 10 years. So that's important. So, and of course, organizations need to also maybe assess themselves externally or internally. It should be a proper exercise to see where they're landing on digital maturity. Okay, so where they are today and where they want to achieve. So it could be a journey supported by different initiatives, but I will let Mr. Azhar Saab also to say something, because he was also raising his hand on the same topic.
Yeah, over to Azhar. Azhar sir, please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
Okay, sorry. So, the thought which I started with was that, are we really on the journey? So I will raise my hand. I'll say, okay, we are one of those companies which Noor Saab has mentioned, that we are on the ERP journey. So this is not a new project for us. We had ERP, but now we are moving forward towards a one SAP implementation, where we bring all the companies together into one platform, so that we have a platform where everything is consolidated, and we have that data on top which we can build on. So, but the main topic of the discussion is that how industries thrive in this. So the main point is that the first thing we need to, at this point, and most of the panelists will agree to me on this, that at this point we are in a struggle with our management and with our boards to convince them that this is what is required. This is where we need to go. And we are, Mubashir spoke about the maturity level. So if we look at the digital maturity level of our organization around the industry in Pakistan, we are way behind. If you compare us with industry leaders. So in terms of digital maturity level, we are nowhere there. So that is the type of discussion which we need to have in our sort of setup in Pakistan, right? What is the way forward? And that is where we need to bring business leaders and our boards and our CEOs into this.
I'd like to add one small, sorry, I'm taking time again. So one very important thing. Okay, so if we ever need to solve a problem, you need to simplify it, right? Okay, so let's just simplify the problem. Okay, so what is IT? And we'll talk about digital later on, but what is IT specifically? It's information technology. Okay, so in your organization, we need to see whichever employee is working, that employee is working on basis of some information. Our job should be to make sure that whatever information is required by that employee is reaching him digitally instead of being manually sent. Okay, so that is going to, so yes, starting from our own organization, we start thinking, maybe make a small list of, if you want to assess your maturity, where you are, check what is the digital reach of to your employees. Okay, start solving that problem. And then go to customers, then go to vendors, then broaden the whole universe, and then you can start communicating. Because organizations which are going to actually thrive in the future will be those which are smart organizations, and they're working smartly instead of working through a manual communication exchange. And that smart connected enterprise is something which should be our destination for all organizations. That's a very generic statement I just passed on. It's easier said than done. So
Thank you.
that's from my side.
So from here onward, I want to move towards Maher, who want to add something in this topic. And along with this, Maher, I also want, if you can please tell us, since you are, the only person in this panel who is from the enabling part, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you are, so who is actually enabling all of us to move in this digital era. So what are the showstoppers? What are the problems which you are facing while you are enabling your customers and pushing them to move towards the digital era? So over to you, please.
Thank you. So, I mean, it ties together. So my feedback is around the same, and I'll just spring into the new topic of discussion. So I totally agree with the points that the panelists have mentioned on this one. I think we need to differentiate between automation and digital transformation, right? Because in an age where computers were not present and we started automating. Now, this, having said that, I want to share something from a professor at Wharton around digital transformation. He defines it as the application of digital technologies to a company's operations and customer interactions to improve operational efficiency, create superior customer experiences, and design innovative business models. So when we talk to customers, and most of you have mentioned that, it is not just about technology, right? I mean, I continue to say it's about people, process, and technology, right? And many of the panelists have mentioned that. So are we looking at the processes and creating new business model, business processes that are optimized before we even talk about technology, right? And then when we look at Mr. Mubashir mentioned new revenue streams. Is the board aware that some of the new revenue streams are service revenue streams, which means at a certain point in time, you're cannibalizing on your business? You will see a dip of revenue. Are they able to take on that dip because you're cannibalizing on existing business? He mentioned agriculture. In agriculture, you go and spend a lot on, it's an asset intensive, especially if you have tractors and right agriculture equipment. Now, some companies are offering this as a service. You pay for yield. If you're a company that's doing that, instead of selling that whole chunk of equipment, okay, are you willing to transform your business to charge the customers on yield and apply technology so you can understand it more, you can understand how much you get, you start forecasting what yield you get out of it. So it is important that when you look at this, your board has to be aware of it and has to support in that transition until you start into the additional revenue stream. And you may even cut some of your existing revenue streams or revenue models or products to go into that different model. Do you have it in the culture of the company to do that? If not, can you isolate a digital team that can think of innovative products and be supported by executive, where nobody can touch them until they create something that has an innovative business model that the company can see the value, and give them the time for this to materialize and to become successful? And is your culture able to handle failure, right? I mean, we're in the business. Sometimes you have an idea and that idea may fail. Does the culture of your company allow you to fail? Are we in a we call it a Microsoft growth mindset, and this is something our CEO has brought into the company, to allow people to experiment, to allow people to fail, and then learn and adjust. So you're in a learning mode. Does your culture in your organization allow that? And that's important, I believe.
Right. Thank you so much, Maher. from here, I'll move towards Moin Saab. And Moin Saab, I request if you can share your experience during the digital transformation journey of PSO. What were the challenges which you have faced and how you coped them up, right? So if you can please share.
I just want to supplement what Noor has said. Like we implemented SAP about 15, 16 years ago. And I was speaking to my MD. So I asked him, what is digital transformation for you? So that it would enlighten me further. So what he said that the ERP is a long old story now. Now what you have to do is wherever there is a keyboard, you have to replace it. You have to look for processes that have to be removed. Those processes that can be done through IoT or by the customer or by the supplier by themselves, and the keyboard wherever it is present and is doing some work, and there's a process, lengthy process that is coming in. So you have to first look for processes, look for the TAT and measure what currently is, see how it can be replaced. So I was very impressed that he's looking for those things. He said that you have to look at micro levels and the change would come automatically and it would grow, and then it would reflect in the whole organization. So you have to look at small changes that you can bring in, and those small changes would grow into a big change. And this is what we are doing. What we are doing is we are identifying small processes, and we are debating how this process can be through digital transformation, through IoT, different methods can be changed, and which will facilitate the customer and which can bring a change, could value add in, not by offered by a competitor, and we're looking for those things that are already being done. Now we want to do them differently. So what we did was we identified about 20 or 25 processes that were done differently, and were done by ERP, SAP ERP. Who knows more than me? He has been selling SAP abroad for 10 years. So he said that for a process to run, there are about 14 transactions. Reduce it to one. So we went for reducing it to one. We had to do was it to certain transaction could be done automatically through IoT or other stuff, and we went in those directions. And what we are doing is we are looking at transactions, the time, the effort that is being done to take a transaction, and the information that is required to complete a transaction. And we are just automating. We are replacing it with an automated process. So this is how we went about in PSO, and we're continuing that process. We are just targeting the process. We're just evaluating every process. We challenge it. It's why it's done for 15 years or 20 years the same way. We challenge it now it should be done differently, and this is the way that we have evolved. And now even our business heads are also thinking and telling us that this process should be done differently, and it should not be done by the people at the company. It should be done this. So the ideas are coming. Now it's getting even challenging for me. Like the idea we have a scarcity of IT resources. Now in olden days we used to make more application ABAP. Now it's made in Fury, as every application has to be mobile app, it has to be run from a mobile platform. So the whole thinking is changing in our organization. Everything now, every problem is IT problem. It's just handed over to us that this process has to be done now. Through this, we are bringing a change, and those persons who are bringing up are being rewarded that this is, you have brought a change. Now you're saying that this process would be done this, and it would bring this value, and so this is how we have changed. And I must admit that it's the board and the management is pushing for those changes and looking at every process and asking that how it should be done differently.
Right. Thank you so much, Moin Saab. So this topic is really amazing, as we just discussed. That is really juicy, as Mubashir mentioned. But unfortunately, we are running out of time. And before conclusion of the discussion, I want to conclude it on the note which we discussed that yes, transformation into digital age is not only responsibility of IT or CIO. We need management support. For that specific reason, we need some good business enablers like Microsoft, and yes, some very good business partners as well, like Skeptox. And not only that, yeah, I know I did the job. And
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. And along with that, it's a combined effort of business and IT, as just Mubashir have mentioned, that we start with the enabling phase, and then we will move towards the transformation phase and then accelerate it, and then finally, yeah, you want to add something?
It's actually enable, automate, accelerate, and then transform. Okay, so
Absolutely correct, right?
Right.
Thank you so much. So yeah, so it's a joint effort of all domains, and together we can transform any organization into this digital age. So once again, thank you everyone. I really want to say thanks to my all panelists, Maher, who is representing Microsoft, Mubashir Amjad, who is representing IBL Unisys, Noor, who is representing Thal Limited, Azhar Nawaz, who is representing Engro Corp, and Moin, who is representing PSO. So with this, we are going to sign off from here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists and to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.